This is the start of Listener Request Month, but we have a small request for you, and that is if you are an Android user, you should check out the Podcast Republic app. It's free, it has thousands of great reviews, and all you have to do is download it to see for yourself. So check it out. It's available on the Google Play Store, the Podcast Republic app. You favorite your favorite podcasts, they download right to your device, and you're listening in seconds. The Podcast Republic app on the Google Play Store. On Saturday, July 20th, we are returning to Tattooed Mom as part of the Philly Podcast Festival. It's our fourth year, I believe, at that particular podcast festival. We're very excited to be asked to be back and excited to return to Tattooed Mom, which is always a really good time. We are going to be discussing the fabulous film Flashdance. Regular listeners of this show might remember that, hey, didn't you guys do a live episode about the movie Flashdance last year at the Baltimore Podcast Festival? And you would be correct. We did. Here's the thing. The only people who heard that episode were the ones in the room. So we liked it and wanted to talk about it and see if we could get that conversation recorded, and figured a year later would probably mean we wouldn't repeat too many of our own jokes, although, frankly, I doubt that I remember them at this point.
I don't even remember where my notes are. Oh, wait, they might be in this notebook. 2 seconds.
We will be at Tattooed Mom at 3:30 p.m. on July 20th, part of a packed day of shows that starts at 12:30 p.m. there. It goes till 7:30 p.m.
My notes are still in here. The same notebook.
Oh, good. Good. So we will be doing Flashdance. If you were at the Baltimore show, this one will probably be different. If you weren't at the Baltimore show, which is almost everyone listening to this, assuredly, we will be doing Flashdance. So come hear us talk about one of the crazy dance movies of our favorite decade, of course, the 1980s. Welcome to Dissecting the 80s. I am one half of the mega podcasting powers, Trip Lano. And with me, as always, is my tag team partner and a man who I definitely would pick for my team on the Midnight Madness run, the Macho Mandrew.
Andrew Lano. I always think we'd be fun, amazing race partners.
Yes, until we got to like the serious physical challenge portion, in which case we would both be like, we're out!
I think we could manage.
When they're like, you gotta climb this rock wall, we'd be like, well...
I'm good at rock walls, and you know that.
You were good at rock walls when you were like a tiny little spider monkey.
No, literally like 2 years ago, I just did a rock wall.
Well, I haven't seen you rock wall since you were a wee pup, and so I thought that was little, tiny little spider monkey Andrew. Those days are long gone.
I'm working on it.
This is the first of Listener Request Month! Yeah! We're very excited to be doing this. Huge thank you to our Patreon supporter, Michelle, who picked this episode, Midnight Madness. Let's hear what she had to say.
Hi, Trip and Andrew. It's Michelle. Just calling to let you know I'm looking forward to hearing the listener pick of mine for Patreon of Midnight Madness in a few weeks. I hope you guys have as much fun as I did watching the movie. I know it's an 80s movie. It's one of those from the early 80s. It kind of feels like a 70s movie, and it's got a really catchy theme song. And even if you don't like the movie, usually, Trip, you have more fun when it's not a good movie. So either way, I think the listeners are going to win on this episode. So have fun, and we'll talk to you soon. Thanks.
It's like one of those early 80s movies that almost feels like a 70s movie, which I definitely agree with.
That's fair.
Feel like a 70s movie.
It's very fair.
And I want to put this out at the top. I personally don't know how much it will apply to this movie, but just in general, we are not going to pull any punches just because some nice person asked us to do this movie. So I do apologize in advance to anybody whose movie is being talked about this month. If it's your like all-time favorite and we poop all over it,
hot tip,
that's okay.
Don't submit your favorites. Don't submit something you don't want ripped apart.
Yeah, I mean, you all know what the show is, so it would be... Although sometimes we really like a thing and we still poke fun at it. So I'm just saying, if it's your favorite thing and we're hurting your feelings, it's okay to turn it off. I don't want to say we're sorry because you knew what you were getting into, I think. But I just want to say we're not going to pull any punches. I know that like some people may be like, oh, they're not going to be as good because it's something somebody asked for. But I'm not going to do that. We're just going to do this like any other movie.
Yeah, we ripped apart the movie our mom requested.
Exactly. So, we watched, as the first ever Listener Request Month pick. Now, just a quick reminder to those of you out there, This first one comes from a Patreon supporter because at the $10 a month level, after 12 months, you get to send us 3 choices and we pick one of them and we do that movie. So that is why Listener Request Month even exists at all. It's thanks to these Patreon supporters, Michelle and Tom. And I just want to say thank you to them, of course, but also let you know that if you want this kind of attention to a movie that you really like, hop on over to patreon.com/dissectingthe80s and check it out. That's it. That's all my hard selling I'm doing up here at the top of the show.
Okay, cool. You're packing up your case on Portobello Road. You're pulling the legs up on your suitcase.
I'm going to quietly roll down the block. But as I said, to start Listener Request Month for the first time ever, we watched Midnight Madness. So you know what that means.
We got to go back. We got to go dissect the 80s. It's your truly poorly planned scavenger hunt. Something's got to be done about your truly poorly planned scavenger hunt.
When the mega powers explode.
I'm talking about the 80s. Oh, yeah. Great Scott! Cream of the crop. Oh, yeah. Mega power, yeah!
When this baby hits 88 miles per hour, you're gonna see some serious shit.
Yeah, so the analog I kept coming back to for this movie is I bet the same one that you're coming back to, and that is because we are uncultured swine, Rat Race, and not the original version. It's a mad, 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 mad world.
Well, I am just learning. I was today years old when I realized that was a remake. I might have known Once Upon a Time, but I don't I mean, I have to say, I am shocked that this movie never got remade as a Disney Channel original movie. Like, it is prime material for...
Most definitely.
We're going to take the kids from the Wizard Show, the kids from the Even Stevens Show, the kids from the Hotel Show, and we're going to put them all in a movie.
Yeah. The crazy thing is, this movie has the Disney logo on it, and there is like some
Only now.
Okay.
So... Okay. It took 20-some years for Disney to put their logo on this movie.
Well, it's pretty adult. Like, it's not obscene, but it has,
it feels
some
more
racy
Touchstone than Disney.
Yeah, for sure. So the premise of this is this nerdy guy, for reasons I don't ever quite understand.
Is he nerdy? Because, I mean, maybe by 80s standards he was nerdy. Because in today's standards, he's like hipster hot.
Yeah, no, he was a Dorkosaurus, for sure.
He had those 2 hot ladies.
I know, that was like a joke. That was the bit. Like, this Dorkosaurus. Like, there was no Zuckerbergs back then, right? Like, you now, when you're a creepy, unfeeling alien monster, if you invent enough thing, like, people find you attractive. But back then, it was just like, oh, you nerd, I wouldn't touch you with somebody else's hands.
Okay, fair.
But anyway, Leon has come up with this scavenger hunt that he is recruiting these 5 people to play.
The ultimate all-nighter or something like that?
Yes. And none of the 5 people want to play. You got your nice cross-section representation here. You got your jock. You got your nerds. You got your rich a-hole. You got your slob.
Rich fat kid. That's his character. He's fat.
Yeah. It's Flounder from Animal House. In case that lands for anybody.
I think I thought he was in something else, but I lost it.
And then the leader of the yellow team, the protagonist of the movie, I suppose, is David Naughton, I believe is his last name, but he was David in American Werewolf in London. I always like when
what?
Yeah.
That's why he looks familiar.
Yes. I love when a person's like famous iconic role is a character with the same name as them. It makes my life much easier because I don't remember names very well.
Yeah.
That is what this gentleman is from. And then
thank you for that.
5th team is the ladies team that inexplicably has 2 twin large women who only make dolphin sounds. And boy, oh boy, did that make me want to put my foot through the television.
Yeah. So this movie comes in hot and leaves hotter because normally with this kind of movie, there's like a bit of a setup. Like a rolling montage over the credits, like non-verbally explaining who the lead characters are. But instead, we just got the Doublemint twins rollerblading around in hot pants, handing out invitations to something to 5 characters that we know nothing about. So I was like, I don't know why these kids were picked. I don't know what their relationship to each other is. I don't know how old they're all supposed to be. And like, a lot of it could have been explained better.
Yeah, I really feel like what you need to do in this situation is have a better start for the contest. So it's either like it's a famous campus competition and these are all the teams we're going to do, or a letter goes out to all the frat houses or something like that. Like there needs to be a little bit more, hey, what the hell are we doing here?
Other if you're going to make me try and remember 5 teams, like I need to understand why there's 5. Like we could have had 2 teams and this movie would have been just as enjoyable.
I think you need 3. I think that's the perfect setup, would be 3.
But then I think in my movie world, if you have 2 teams, the good guys have to win. If you have 3 teams, the team that is neither good nor bad has to win. Is how I think those movies have to. Is that when those movies are the most successful? Is like
maybe
they're all trying, and then do like, oh, the other dude, like the other people won.
Yeah,
we still support you.
Yeah, I guess you're right. Anyway, let's get into it a little more by the book, and we'll talk about this other stuff as it comes up.
They spend a good 5 minutes explaining what a scavenger hunt is.
Yeah, that's the part that I found pants on head crazy, is like there's no way the general movie-going audience in 1980 didn't know what the hell a scavenger hunt was when you said those 2 words.
They do the same thing on Drag Race to explain what a bracket is. They have a top 4, and they're like, okay, we're going to lip sync for the crown. And then they spend 5 minutes explaining how one pair will lip sync, and then that winner goes to the finale. And then the other pair will also lip sync, and that winner will go to the finale. And then those 2 will then finally. And I was like, we get it. It's like,
we have seen a bracket before.
Just put the image on the screen and we'll figure it out.
Right, yes, exactly. It's just a tournament bracket. I think anyone who's looking at it could figure it out.
So the nerd in this movie, I did not know he was this old, because as soon as I heard his voice, I was like, oh, I know this dude from something. And I was like, I think it's Kim Possible, but also something else.
One of 2 prolific voice actors in this movie.
Yes. Well, and I would say a third one that you will disagree with.
All right.
He was the know-it-all dork in the Polar Express, and he was, I can't remember the character's name, but someone else in Kim Possible. He's got a very distinctive nerd voice.
He's a real Poindexter, and it's funny because I don't know if I'm assuming that slang term is old, and the character being named Poindexter in Revenge of the Nerds is just a reference to it. But there is a character named Poindexter in Revenge of the Nerds, and he is also very similarly extremely nerdy to this guy. So I found that very amusing.
I would guess it's an old term.
Yeah.
It's like the movie almost tried to explain everybody's relationships, because the jocks are so the jocks for some reason are at this nerds debate team.
Yeah,
they're the only ones there.
Yeah, I assumed it was like some sort of we gotta tutor them for credit situation.
Could have been a line of dialogue.
The movie doesn't explain it.
0.2 seconds of dialogue would have been great there. But then
somebody out there should design that for a t-shirt for us. We will cut you in on the profits.
Well, the movie doesn't explain
doesn't explain it.
In the Back to the Future font. But then the jerks go
don't do just the Back to the Future font. I could do that. That is within my capabilities. That would not be an acceptable thing that we would do to give you some money for, because I could do that.
Then the jocks go to this like alternative sorority mixer and are jerks there. And I just can't figure out why, like, they're not all connected. It's like,
right.
The 3 tertiary teams are loosely connected. And the 2 important teams are loosely connected.
Right.
But they're not all 5 connected.
The other thing I found interesting is typically, like, I don't know a better way to phrase this, so know that I'm only explicitly referring to the movie version of this. But, like, this is the Rejects sorority, right?
Yeah, it is.
Like, if this is a movie about sororities, it's like, this is all of the nerdy, this is all the really smart women.
This is the sorority from the House Bunny.
Yes, and it's just like the mishmash Island of Misfit Toys sorority. So you would think...
led by an inexplicably traditionally attractive woman.
Yeah, also kind of a wild card there. But you would think that the Nerd Brigade and the Misfit sorority would be friendlier to each other, but they also don't seem to like each other as the movie progresses, which is confusing.
Yeah.
Like, beyond the we're in an active competition with one another, go away, there seems to be some, like, deep-seated animosity.
I mean, that also happens with the 2 brothers in this movie.
Yeah, that's also really ridiculous, but we'll get there. We're a little past it, but I do want to circle back for a quick second. And there's the moment where Leon is explaining the game and how it works, where it's like you get a clue and you go to the thing. And we already mentioned that it was really laboriously explained. But my favorite part is when one of the two women who's with him pulls down like a custom made, like a map, like it. When we were, well, I don't know about if they were still there when you were there, but there used to be like pull down maps. There'd be like, map of the world, map of the United States or whatever. This is a pull down flow chart of like how a scavenger hunt works, where it's like location and then another shape and it says clue and then it says directions to the next location. And then it's like this flow chart of like how to find clues. But all I could think of was how he had to have like drawn this up, gone to a print shop, had it custom printed on a pull down, and then just been like, well, anytime I need to explain a scavenger hunt, this is the poster I'm going to grab.
It reminds me of the silent episode of Buffy when Giles does his overhead presentation about, like, Buffy will patrol tonight.
Yes.
Well, so this is the other thing. The movie doesn't talk about how this nerdy kid is a multimillionaire.
Yeah.
The level of money he had to hemorrhage to make this thing possible, with no explanation of why he needed to make it possible.
Right. He's a Zuckerberg, and it doesn't make any sense. Like that is not a character archetype from this era that makes any sense.
Yeah. I also, like I said, I was confused about everyone's ages because the leader of the yellow team, the American Werewolf in London, is like a guidance counselor at college.
They call him a freshman counselor. So the green team is definitely on the football team, so they're students. The nerd team is definitely students. The red team is definitely students. The blue team seems to be students, although I'm not certain.
At least the yellow one team of them is a student.
Yes. And the yellow team is American Werewolf in London, who is a full grown man. And then I thought she was his girlfriend from the second they were introduced, but apparently they're like just longing for each other. And it's then two random
hetero
students.
Romance the movie really thought we needed.
But that's the thing, is like, when the first scene happened where they were like, oh, will they, won't they? I was like, wait, I've been watching the movie and they're definitely already a couple. It's like their energy is very couple.
I mean, they were like the two most close in age, conventionally attractive people on that movie set, so they were boning.
Yeah, I mean, you're not wrong. I'm guessing, maybe. Who knows?
Allegedly, that can be our other shirt.
Yes. So go ahead.
So then, so like we said, the Leon, the guy who created the game, says his pitch, and all the people are like, "You're an idiot. We're leaving." But then it like it shows everyone, getting into the idea, and then we cut to the rich fat kid's house, and it's just playing the music in all reality shows when like someone says something dumb. That's just like, but no one's saying anything. It's the establishing music for this kid's house.
Yes. And he's your token, like every bad fat stereotype you could possibly, he's like always eating. At one point, and it comes back, it's Chekhov's marshmallows, which is a fun one. But like, he's always eating and he's a huge asshole. Like you want to kick him in the teeth. But the part that I found like the buck wildest is I've never seen the fat kid's vice be marshmallows. Who likes marshmallows this much?
I like a marshmallow. Like, if there's a bag of people making s'mores, I'll have a single marshmallow. And that's probably it.
Untoasted? Just like a raw ass marshmallow?
Yeah, I would have one.
I just don't care for it. I mean,
I'm not going to eat a bag of them.
I've come around on the s'more as an older person, but as a kid.
You didn't like s'mores?
No, to be honest with you, I still don't quite get the appeal. Like, they're a huge pain in the ass to eat. It gets all in my mustache. That wasn't a problem when I was 6. Yeah, it wasn't a problem when I was 6, but like, it makes my hands sticky. It makes my face sticky. And I'm at a campfire and I can't wash my hands. I have a lot of things, obviously.
You're fun at parties.
People who've listened to this podcast for a while understand I have a lot of things, like last episode's revelation that I hate the sound of a jingle bell. But like,
I've gone on record saying that children singing is the worst sound in the world. So,
but I like, if my hands are dirty, I can't get over it. Like, I just don't have the ability to just let that go. And so it's why I'm not a big camping person. And, you know, like, I do like to hike, but it's a short, dirty hand situation. But yeah, I'm not a person who's like Purelling 97 times a day. Like, I don't have legitimate OCD or anything like that.
It's when your hands feel dirty. Like,
yeah. Yes, exactly. Like, I can happily ignore, like, I've gone on a hike and then eaten a sandwich and just, like, eaten the sandwich. Like, no hand sanitizer. Like, oh, I probably should have used hand sanitizer. Whoops. But when I have, like, residue on my hands, it drives me bananas. And so even as a kid, like, you're eating this marshmallow and it bloops all over your palms, and then you're nowhere near a water source. So you just have to have sticky hands, I guess. And I just don't care for it. So it just seems to me as, like, the experience of making a marshmallow is 50 times better than the experience of... So thank you. Some more. The experience of roasting a marshmallow and making a s'more is 50 times better than the experience of eating one.
I mean, I don't know. I don't agree with that, but...
If everybody liked this so much, it would be much more prevalent on, like, desserts in restaurants, and it's not. It's occasionally there. You'll get, like, a twist on it, like a sundae with graham cracker crumble and marshmallow fluff that they hit with the flame and toast. But it's like, it's not that prevalent. And I think it's because everybody like thinks they like them, but doesn't like them like them.
Okay.
Anyway, this kid is just chowing down on raw ass marshmallows and I just can't. Who is doing that?
I think this was the first movie I saw where the rich villain was also fat. And like it's annoying because his father calls him into his office and is like, I've heard about this game and I want you to enter so that you can win a trophy. Because like his dad's room is full of trophies.
Yeah.
And he's like, because so and so's son, American Werewolf in London, is entering. And for like 2 seconds, the fat kid is like, Dad, stop trying to compare me. Like, notice who I am.
Yeah.
But then doesn't establish any of his own identity or skill set.
Yeah.
Like, it's not like, oh, he paints or like he has a thing that he does.
I'm totally with you there too, because all the other characterization that we get for the character is like his so-called friends really aren't his friends. They're constantly ragging on him.
They're lackeys.
Yeah, but they're not even lackeys. They don't even seem to like him. You know what I mean? Like Biff Tannen's gang maybe is afraid of him, but deep down, I think they dig him. You know, I think those people like him.
Yeah.
I don't think these people like him. I think they just hang around with him because he's rich.
I can see that for sure.
And so it was really weird. Like there was a lot of empathy for me built into this character because of what we see on screen. And the movie doesn't want to do anything with that.
Yeah. I was like, I don't understand what, like, why do that at all then? Why have that moment if you're not going to do anything with it?
Right. And why is it constantly like bubbling under the surface with his lackey friend group of the same situation if you're not going to build to him like seeing the error of his ways and coming around or something like that?
Yeah.
It also is weird to me, like when they leave Leon's room and the girls are in there with him are like, oh, they didn't sign up. And he's like, oh, don't worry, I have a plan. And Leon seems to have been able to get to a person associated with each of these team captains that he's chosen and convince that person to convince the team captain to play. We don't see how that works. Is it financial? I was waiting for a real she's all that at the end of this where it's like, oh, by the way, all of these people who coerced you into playing have made a bunch of money and now you hate them.
Oh, that'd be fun. Oh, like the girl, like American Werewolf in London's girlfriend was going to be? Okay.
Yeah, it's like she was only there because like that would have been literally a she's all that where it's like.
I would have loved that moment though.
Yeah, no, I would have too, but it's just not there. Flounder from Animal House, the rich kid, he shows off his really cool van that's got like a computer in it and a phone and all this sorts of magical gadgetry.
The computer from Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory.
Yes, it's a big old school mechanical clicky clacky keyboard.
We get a great classic, it's funny that this girl's ugly joke.
Yeah, that really bummed me out. It's
because I thought it was going to be like, oh, she's old. Like
an old lady, or just like an adult. Okay.
Or like someone his mom, because he's like, my mom set me up with someone. So it's gonna be like his mom's knitting friend in like a cat sweater, and like a bag, like a candy dish full of butterscotches. Like
She's just carrying a candy dish.
Yeah, like carrying the glass candy dish. That would have been, I would have been so fine with, because that's where I thought it was going to go. But then it was just like, maybe someone a couple years older than him who just was not attractive.
Yeah, this is so sad, but like, I was like, it's going to be a fat person. And I was like 100% sure when they opened the door.
See, we already had a fat person, so I didn't think it would be.
Yes, but it wasn't like, ew. And that's what I thought we were going to get. So I was like, I mean, ugly is a little bit better, but it still sucks.
Yeah, that wasn't cool, bro.
Yeah, and I don't know how you do that joke in today's world. Like, I don't think you can do, like, I don't know what you put behind that door. You know what it would have to be? Old lady would work, or like really out there, like crazy hair goth person would probably work.
It would have to be like an extreme something.
Yeah, like a little bit scary, like 50 lip rings or something like that. Like a little bit, they were like, hey, and it's like, that's somebody's yum, but it's not mainstream yum, as opposed to just being like,
it's not saying you're ugly.
Yeah, it's not saying,
like that's a lot of look.
Yeah, it's not like, ew, look at this yuck person. Ew.
Yeah.
We cut to the football team. There's this we do like a bunch of quick whip arounds where we're seeing the teams like forming and giving them a little bit of personality. And the green team is the football players, and the one guy is actively dipping his pizza into his pitcher of beer, which is,
I missed that. Glad I missed that.
The grossest thing I've seen on this show food wise. But then as I look closer, I was like, wait a minute. Is that Hitchcock from Brooklyn Nine-Nine? And it was. And the craziest thing is how similar he looks 40 years ago.
Which one's Hitchcock?
You've seen the show?
Once or twice.
There's the two schlub detectives. They're older guys. They're both heavy. Well, one is heavy and has like a flat top, and the other one is bald and like sort of pudgy.
I'm not going to get this reference.
Okay. Well, for anyone out there who watches, it's a good show. I highly recommend.
It's been on my list.
It's all on Hulu now because of the NBC purchase.
Right.
If you don't have a weird hatred of Andy Samberg, you'll probably enjoy it.
I did for a while.
Yeah, and that's fine. I get it. But yeah, Hitchcock is largely the same looking, except for the hair, at age, 40 years ago. I don't know how old it is now. 60 probably, I'm guessing. He's probably about 20 in this movie.
I would say at least. The Doublemint twins that Leon has in his employ, is dating, whatever, are named Candy and Sunshine.
Which I thought was pretty funny. I thought that was like nicknames, and then I looked at the credits, and it's like, no, that's what they're credited as.
That's their credited.
I didn't look at the credits of the movie. I looked the movie up and in the credits.
Yeah. And this is why I said it's a poorly planned scavenger hunt, because they all have the same first clue and the same trajectory. And that's not a good scavenger hunt.
See,
because then whoever figures, like, you can all just follow each other.
Yes, that is true. However, I feel like that's most scavenger hunts.
No, a lot of them will do like, clues 1 through 10, and like one team gets clue 1, one team starts with 4, one team starts with 6, one team starts with 10. And you have to like get back to the beginning or like like an ending point. I'm not saying
you have to collect all 10 coins or whatever.
Yeah, but like you start at different places. Like your starting point is a different point on the circle.
Yeah, I feel like that's harder to track in a movie.
I guess, yeah.
It requires your audience to have to keep a lot more stuff in order, or to have like a big board that you keep cutting to. And they do the big board cut scenes in this, but it's more of like...
where he has like a light up board?
Yeah. But those scenes are more to like cram a few more gags into the movie, as opposed to the, hey, who's winning the race sort of horse race check-ins.
Mm-hmm. With the first clue, I already hated this nonsense clue logic, because it is like... the ramblings of, it's as if someone was on like an insane person on a subway platform was like muttering to himself.
Yeah, it's all very esoteric. Like, it's blind, so you have to cross out all the letter I's, and then so I recently got one of those puzzle boxes that get mailed to you.
Which one?
It was related to the Adventure Zone, a podcast that I like,
okay.
And some of the clues in the puzzles were that kind of thing where it's like you had to turn a thing upside down and
the
sideways.
first clue is the C is reversed, SS Itari is mixed up and blind, and then a set of numbers. And I was just like, that's just gibberish.
And the correct reading of it is see the stars, which they all figure out, but only one of the 4 teams, the one that cheats with the computer, the blue team, 5 teams, realizes they need to go to the observatory, and instead everyone else is like, we'll go to the Hollywood Walk of Fame, we'll go to this random talent show, we'll go to this bar, like all these other things.
Which like are valid readings of See the Stars.
Sure, yeah. One of them goes to like Madame Tussauds, like a wax museum.
Yeah, and like fully just takes the arms off the figures.
Yeah.
That's not okay. I don't like that place, but that's not okay.
Honestly, the one that they described in that Parks and Rec episode where it's like all the wax figures are the rejects, so you have to figure out who it's supposed to be, is something that would really appeal to me.
I would do that one. 100% I would do that one. So this is where I wrote, the girl on Harold, the Fat Kids team, sounds really familiar. She sounds like one of the Misfits. Plot twist, it's Pizzazz, the lead misfit from Gem and the Holograms.
So I guess 2.5 famous voice actors then.
Yeah. And this is where we get the quote-unquote ticking time bomb of the scavenger hunt movie that already has a deadline because it's a scavenger hunt where the game master's landlady hates him. And she's like, your apartment's always so messy and you're always so loud. Lady, I pay you rent. Don't come in my apartment.
Yeah.
My noise is your business.
Yes.
The interior of my apartment is not.
Yeah, short of it being a health hazard for other tenants, like you can leave. You can keep it. It's not yours. Go away.
Mm-hmm.
I invoke my clause of quiet enjoyment. It also is a totally unnecessary subplot. Like, it comes back later in the sort of climax of the movie and a little before that as well, but just like, it's so unnecessary. It just adds a little bit more chaos to an already chaotic ending. And the thing that is kind of wild about this movie to me is when it's working, and I feel like it works more than it doesn't, although it doesn't seem like you agree.
It's a 55-45.
Yeah,
that's still technically more than it doesn't.
Yeah, I might be a little more positive than you there, but we'll talk about that down the road. But when this is working, it has the energy of like a Blues Brothers, which has this like kinetic motion to it. And that's a really fun energy to have that not a lot of movies have, and not a lot of movies even go for.
I agree. Well, and so the landlady subplot really just ends up with everyone in his apartment building is like hanging out in his room, loving everything he's doing, and I really enjoyed that. Like, those scenes are really fun where everyone's like, you're being so... Wait a minute, is that a radio? You're making too much noise and, oh my god, look at the size of this map. Like, it's fun and cute. And I think if it, like, the setup for this had been the landlady being like, I'm going to the movies tonight if any of my tenants calls me and, like, I don't want to hear any complaints from my tenants about your noise. Like, that's enough of a setup that, like, everyone hates me. Oh, wait, they're going to love me.
But then there's like later in the movie, there's a bit where, and I do apologize because I was taking notes and listening to this scene and I didn't look up in time, but she comes barging in like there's been another noise complaint when it seems like the entire building is in his room enjoying this with him. So did she just make that up?
What happened? She did.
She's made it up. Okay.
She walks in the room and goes, I'm finally evicting you for the noise complaint. Here's the complaint, and gestures to the room full of happy people. And I was like, no one did anything. And it's not a moment where, like, someone's like, haha, I tricked you.
Right.
He turns to the room and goes, did anyone complain? And they're like, no, munch, munch popcorn.
Yeah, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Okay, I'm glad that was the correct reading of that scene then.
Yes. So anyways, we get some good old-fashioned 80s sexual assault, this time perpetuated by a child to a grown woman. And then by our lead. He's
peeping on her with a like legitimate look at the stars telescope, which one definitely is impossible, and two, ew, like come on,
god damn it, movie. And then our lead does it too.
Yeah, and he's like real horned up about it, which is kind of a bummer.
gross. Also, like, you have a slam piece here on the scavenger hunt with you. And I wrote, I see why Disney distanced itself from this.
And also, just to like cut it off at the knees to anybody out there listening, like, yeah, when I was 13, if I saw a naked woman in a window, I definitely would have looked at her, but that doesn't make it not gross. Like,
yeah, like, it's still not cool. Like,
yeah,
it's not a thing to do.
Right.
And then I also noticed, I was like, why does Leon have 1,000? Because his place doesn't have to be noisy. For some reason, he's got like 10 ham radios, a bunch of police scanners, and I was like, why are they important for the game? They all like phone in to like give their position.
I thought it was leading to like they're gonna have to start breaking the law, and he's gonna be like tracking the police, chasing them as a way of monitoring the game.
So that was a movie.
Yeah, I mean, it's been a bunch of movies.
I didn't see it, but it was a movie starring Emma Roberts.
Oh man, Dare! Oh, it's such a huge piece of shit.
It looked like it. That's why I didn't see it.
Well,
but you apparently did.
Well, it came on Prime, and I was drinking, and I was like, "That looks stupid."
Oh, that's a good Prime drinking movie.
Yeah, and I was like, "This looks stupid," and it was. I put it on, and I was like, "This isn't this kind of entertaining. What a bummer."
Yeah, that happened to me with my boyfriend and I. I was like, oh, I want to watch a gay horror movie because it's going to be stupid and laughable. And then I put it on and I was like, this is like a kind of good movie that isn't campy. This isn't what I asked for.
So we're in the observatory. We use the telescope to find the clue. The green team is just running like a bull in a china shop through the observatory and breaking everything. One
of them was wearing a crop top.
Yeah, I think that might have been... No, I guess it wasn't. I was like, it might have been Hitchcock. Is the one wearing the crop top the one that falls in the tank of beer? Because that's Hitchcock.
I don't think so.
Okay. The tank of beer guy is Hitchcock.
Augustus Gloop?
Yes, exactly.
I wrote, Harold's character is literally just fat. That's the whole character. It's just... There's no development. There's no anything. Just fat.
Well, there's no development for any character, really.
I mean, arguably, American Werewolf in London.
Yeah, he has that one growth moment. That's true.
Because all of a sudden, his brother is here, and we've never seen him before in the movie.
Yeah.
Like, right? I'm not exactly like we've never. Yeah. He doesn't show up in the beginning, right?
No, he doesn't.
All of a sudden, baby Michael J. Fox is running away from home, and we're supposed to care.
Well, it's quickly explained from MJF to the woman who's on the team that like, oh, by the way, my brother forgot my birthday, which is a very legitimate reason to be upset with someone.
I agree. But like the movie, I didn't know he had a brother until just now.
Right.
And all of a sudden it's also a brother that they hate each other.
Right. And I also can't figure out how old they're supposed to be. So I just am confused and I spend the whole time.
So MJF is 15.
So they're like 15 years apart or 10?
At least 10.
Yeah, I got no time for that. You gotta explain that movie. Sorry, I need a little bit more.
Yeah.
Like, no wonder they don't have any relationship. They didn't grow up together.
No, they're 10 years apart.
Right.
At minimum. And then...
I'm not saying it's bad to have large age gaps in your familial relationships. We have a brother who's significantly older than us. But, like, in a movie, there needs to be... Like, that doesn't happen like by accident in a movie, typically.
Or, like, show us the brother in the beginning when you're establishing all your characters.
Right. Like, how about a part where the brother... It would be way better if there was a scene early where the brother is trying to get to the office of American Werewolf in London, and he, like, runs out the door with the woman to start the scavenger hunt as Michael J. Fox arrives to, like, spend the weekend together for his birthday. You know what I mean?
Yeah, or like a calendar gets knocked off the wall and we see that it said like Michael J. Fox coming to visit, circled or something. Like
right.
Something to illustrate because literally all of a sudden 30 minutes into this movie, this dude has a brother and they fucking hate each other.
Yeah, they really do hate each other. It's like a real from the guts hatred too.
I'm like, why are they? Then don't make them. Like, this is weird that they're brothers and they hate each other so aggressively. PBR is involved now.
Yeah, I kind of really dug the fact that one of the idiots, they get to a part where they have to like play a song on the piano, and one of the idiots, it's actually Hitchcock, starts playing the song. He's like, wait, that's the Pabst Blue Ribbon jingle, and he starts singing it, and then we cut to the Pabst Blue Ribbon Brewery for no reason. And now normally I find product placement obnoxious, but when it's like cheap garbage beer, I'm all for it.
It's kind of charming.
Yeah.
But also, this scavenger hunt started at midnight. So that means that this PBR tour is at like 1 a.m. That is full of people.
I think it's more like 3 or 4 a.m. based on the time.
No, because I think...
Oh, wait, LAX is 2:30, so you're right. It is 1 a.m. Yeah.
So it's around 1 a.m., but
Yes.
it's a full tour. It's not like a secret break into the factory. It is a full Willy Wonka tour.
Right, with like other tourists on it.
Yeah. And then the one dude, Augustus, gloops his way into a giant beer vat that's definitely got to be warm beer. Like, that's not cold beer in that vat.
No, it's not cold yet at that point of the brewing process.
And then somehow they all get thrown out because Michael J. Fox tried to steal a beer. And they're like, we'll never get the...
He tries to steal a beer with absolutely no chill. He asks for one, the guy says no. The guy turns a quarter turn away from him, and he leans over the counter and starts filling a beer under the tap.
Yeah, it's crazy. But they're like, we'll never find the clue. And then they like, look, and they realize the fucking forklift is loading up pallets of PBR.
Mm-hmm.
And he happens to be loading them in a way that reveals this like as if you painted the spine of a book so that when the book is closed, you can read it, but when it's open, you can't. This elaborate thing. And I was like, how did he orchestrate this?
Yes. You're talking at
This
minimum.
isn't part of the tour.
Right. Yeah, this dude had come up with like a jigsaw level of planning to create this. Is that like the Saw theme song or something?
That's the Saw theme song, yeah.
Okay. Never seen one.
That's what plays at the end of every Saw movie when they're like, here's all the stuff you missed because you're an idiot, but really, we just didn't show you. And they're like showing the other side of things.
I see. Well, never seen one of those movies, but this is what I understand to be a jigsaw level of planning.
Yeah.
Like absolute psychotic.
Yeah, this is when you think too hard about the plot of the Joker and the Dark Knight. Like, it's that level.
Yeah. So
we get another just disgusting sexual assault of a poor, beleaguered diner waitress.
It's more sexual harassment.
I mean,
nobody touches her. I'm not trying to split hairs here. I just want to accurately convey what's happening in the movie, so it doesn't seem like a bunch of people just started groping this woman.
It's not far.
No, but I just want to be clear that like the heroes of this movie do not just start touching someone inappropriately. They're being horrible and harassing her for certain.
The clue they're given is look between the melons. And
it sucks. It sucks.
But like
so
the
bad.
problem is the clue sends them to a diner. And in the diner that says Leon's Special, you can order, and it's a plate of like cantaloupe, watermelon, like actual melons on a plate.
Like a comical amount of them. Honestly, prop-wise, set decoration-wise, hilarious. Like, I love...
This movie's on point for that.
Yeah, I love the way that like, the absurd size of the tray of melons that is delivered to the table is a hoot. I really like it.
But, like, I would have been so much happier if it was, like, they had to, like, smash open all the melons to, like, find the clue inside. Like, it was hidden inside one of them.
They did that magic trick where you, like, put the card inside the orange or whatever.
Yeah. But so it's this waitress that's already clearly forced to wear a like slutty diner waitress outfit, which has no bearing on because it's not like a Hooters. It's just a restaurant. It's just like a divey restaurant, and they're all talking like look between the melons. And every time they do, it's this just like gratuitous shot of her pouring coffee and like leaning over.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, they all start screaming at her and, like, smashing plates and being like, I need more coffee. I need this. We dropped something, miss. And I was like, this poor waitress.
Yeah, it's a real beleaguered situation.
Just to get to her necklace that says, hug me. And they read hug me, and I went, Jesus H. Christ, please, dear God.
Yeah, that's why I wanted to clarify, because I was like, oh my God, they all have to touch her. What is this nonsense?
But turns out Hug Me is another
Is it anagram? Okay.
Anagram. Another anagram for a huge M. And they all figure it out.
Which, like, I'm sorry. That doesn't count. Like, it's unacceptable to me that it's hug me as huge M. No.
Yeah, that's
sorry.
Dumb. There's also what I would categorize as a militant lesbian sorority girl who's like, and I say militant in the like aggressive fighting sense.
Okay.
She's the one that like literally kicks everyone's ass.
Yeah, she really does start throwing some.
Like the sorority girls start to get their car towed, and she sneaks into the tow truck without anyone noticing. And when the guy goes to open his door, she kicks it open and knocks him out and is like, "Get in the car, ladies! We're taking the truck on the road!" And she was not in the movie enough.
Yeah, no, she wasn't. I honestly forgot she was on the team for a little while. Blue
this is where we learn the missed birthday.
Yes, and Blue has also slashed the tires of the yellow team, which is the fat rich guy's team putting a slowdown on David from American Werewolf in London.
They've slashed all 4 tires and siphoned out all but 1 tank of gas.
1 gallon.
Thank you. 1 gallon.
So then they all learn, okay, huge M, it must be the huge M mini golf course, which, like, man, the 80s in mini golf, huh?
Yeah, I was like, the only place I know of mini golf is the boardwalk.
Yeah, it's like really a series. We did have one growing up that was attached to a driving range, but it was like...
There was a mini golf over there?
Yeah, but it was like a real golf course in miniature, not like a windmill and a giant panda and a snake and a whatever.
That's not fun.
Not nearly. I don't think so. I would much rather...
About Rossi, right?
Yeah. The Christmas, the tree farm and the driving range. They also had a mini golf there because I went on a few dates there, just because it's like we got to do something.
It's not a movie,
right? It's like there's like 4 options when you're 17, so that was one of them.
And then so we didn't really talk about it, but the guy with the ugly date in the beginning is one of American Werewolf in London's like cases that he has to help.
Yes.
And he's trying to like get him confident or whatever. And his way of becoming confident is being like, hey, like flagging down a car with 2 girls in it and be like, "Hey ladies, take us to the golf course." And they're like, "We're not going that way." And he opens the car door and gets in and was like, "Well, now you are."
Yeah. Super weird.
That's Grand Theft Auto and possibly kidnapping.
Except the woman slides over, lets him drive, and is his best friend now.
It's so dumb. But they get there, and then the blue team gets there first, the rich kid, and the clue's like, play golf, but don't skip to the 18th hole. And I was like, oh, there's a fake clue at the 18th hole.
Yep.
But it's the fake clue was in the form of like,
Yeah.
You shouldn't say the magic word.
Right.
When it should have been a clue.
Oh, like, and it throws them off and they go to the wrong place.
It should have been like, go to this location.
Man, that's so much better. Yes.
And because then the ending is so different with like, they're all going different directions and they're like, well, he's got the supercomputer. Let's follow him. Like, you could have done more with it.
I agree. And that's the thing that I think this movie is missing, and what works in a movie like Rat Race, which I'm sure is terrible, but I really enjoyed when I was, 14 when that came out?
Wait, what movie?
Rat Race.
Oh, yeah.
You need to be able to eliminate teams from the competition.
Yes, you do.
And that's the element that I think this is missing that would make it, you said 55-45. I think it might be more like a 60-40 or even a 65-35. I think that pushes this up like a whole letter grade, because then you get to have more shenanigans. And this movie is missing shenanigans, which is crazy because it's literally full of them, but it's just, it's like almost there in terms of the kind of stuff I expect out of a movie like this. Like, it's just not quite allowed enough. It hovers at a 9, which is seemingly great, but I need you to hit 10 a bunch too.
I agree. And again, the fact that Disney Channel original movies remade Adventures in Babysitting before this movie is crazy to me.
Yeah, I think it's just like, because the age of the kids on that show is so young, it requires a kind of weird situation for how to get them all getting around town and doing all of those pieces of it, right? Like, it's such a critical element of this that, like, unless they all have a limo driver or like the parent is driving them around, it's kind of a weird thing.
I think they could be on bikes riding around town.
Yeah, and I guess in this day and age,
grabbing the back of cars.
Yeah, and in this day and age, they could just be taking Ubers and Lyfts too, I guess.
Sponsored by.
Yeah, that's true. Get a little of that valuation money. Speaking of Uber and Lyft, no, I'm just kidding. Could you even imagine?
I would love that. Talk about organic.
We need to get sponsored by one of them so that the Uber driver could be a character in an ad for an actual rideshare company.
Yes, please. Or sponsored by Waze.
Yeah.
And then he can be a Waze voice.
Oh, speaking of that, did you know you can do your own custom voice on Waze?
You can record your own voice?
Yes. So I think we might need to add that as a Patreon tier. Like, the Uber driver will give you directions in Waze. Turn left ahead.
How many things do you have to record?
I think it's about 20.
Huh.
All right, I'm going to tell this story. It's really I promised that I didn't do this on purpose to tell this story, but I'm going to tell it. It's really short. So, just recently came back from vacation with my girlfriend. Our last day, we had scheduled an early morning Lyft pickup to get a ride to the airport. It was like 5 a.m. We get in the car, and the driver's directions start going, and it's like, turn left ahead. And I was like, what in the hell? And then it pops up again, like, in a quarter mile, turn right.
Baby voice?
Yes! I was sure I was in the car with a serial killer, and it was
his child.
No, it was a add-on pack for Waze that no longer exists, so how he still has it, I don't know. But it was like a custom voice thing that they offered a few years ago that was like just random children telling you how to drive.
Oh, probably for that stupid Boss Baby movie.
No, I think I'm sorry to do this because I hate when that happens. I think it was charitable. I think it was like some sneaky good cause. But one, absolutely psychotic to choose as your turn-by-turn directions. But the only reason I learned that you could do your own voice is because I was trying to figure out what the hell voice this guy had picked. But then
I might do that and just be sassy with it.
It was 5 a.m. We get in this car. I immediately put my head back and close my eyes. My girlfriend does the same. Because again, it's 5 a.m. and we're going to the airport. Like, we're not ready to talk about anything. This dude would not stop talking. It was a 15-minute ride to the airport, and he talked and asked questions the whole time, despite me giving every signal of being like, yep, no, we had a great trip. Yep, we're heading back to Baltimore today.
Headphones in, bro.
Yep. But like, I literally put my head back and closed my eyes. It was just like, please just take your psycho children directions and listen to those. Turn the radio up. For the love of God, it's 5 a.m. Stop asking me about my life.
Do my old sore throat trick that I would do sometimes when I got my hair cut and be like,
see, this is the problem.
I'm really sorry. My throat's like gone. So you just like listen to whatever music you want. Go for it.
If I do that, then he just has to talk to my girlfriend, who definitely doesn't want to have the conversation. Like,
she can also have a sore throat.
We both have sore throats. That's a little bit suspicious.
You're right. People who are in romantic relationships on vacation never get sick at the same time.
I'm just saying.
That's unheard of.
It would be fishy. But anyway, we should have a Patreon tier. Chime in if you want that. We'll do a Patreon tier where either us or the Uber driver can be your turn-by-turn directions. We get the clue from the mini golf course that they have to go to LAX. And I love how I'm sure this is just like the world was bigger back then than it is now. It's much smaller these days. But they're like LAX, and David from American Werewolf in London has to be like, oh, LAX, that's the airport code for Los Angeles International Airport. And it's like, yeah, of course it is. It's just like, of course it is. And then I was like, oh, I bet like a significant portion of the audience didn't just know that information.
Yeah, there weren't YouTubers all the time being like, well, I'm headed to LAX so I can catch my flight to blah, blah, blah.
It's even beyond that. It's like, it's a lyric in that Miley Cyrus song.
It is. You're right. Hopped off a plane at LAX.
Yeah, it's a like ubiquitous reference at this point, but I don't think it was in 1980.
Yeah. They replace all 4 tires very quickly.
Well, they do show this guy earlier working on his car, so he's not a Mary Sue because we saw him do his training.
No, but like, where did you get 4 tires?
No, I know. It's insane. I wanted the scene where they stole them from other cars. Like, there's 4 cars in the parking lot, just like on 3 wheels and an axle on the ground.
No, you know what it should have been? Since we all are at the same same spot every time, it should have been he took 1 tire from each of the 4 other teams' cars.
Oh, that would be funny. Well, the nerds don't have cars. This Team Sperm is on mopeds.
Ew, don't do that.
Well, I'm sorry. They're dressed all in white with these like smooth plastic helmets on. They look like sperm.
Ew.
They do.
Anyways. And this is where we find out why Leon needed radios, because when they get to LAX, it says like tune to tune to the thing.
5:30 a.m.
Thank you. And so he's like, go to Terminal 3. And I forgot that there was a time in the world where you could just walk into an airport.
Yeah, they also have a thing that doesn't exist anymore, and I only know from movie tropes, but like the Hare Krishna groups.
Yeah, Hare Krishna.
Yeah, and it's funny, like that reference existed, I think, way longer than those groups actually existed in airports.
I would think so, yeah. They were on the Golden Girls.
Yeah, I mean, it was like every airport in TV or movies up until like 1990. I think there's even Hare Krishna in Die Hard 2, which is in the 90s.
I think so.
At least 1990, yeah.
But so, like, these quote-unquote Hare Krishna look like college dude bros wrapped in burlap.
Yeah.
Like, they're wearing my kind of tall, stripy socks and Converse.
Yeah, and weird head paint. It's very strange.
Yeah, and so they're obviously, like, you walk in like, oh, that's clearly a clue, but all of the groups ignore it. And so they get the next clue. It leads them to some lockers, which leads them to Pinball City. And they walk in, and I was like, oh, that guy kind of looked like Paul Rubens. Plot twist, it's Paul Rubens.
Yeah, that guy didn't kind of look like Paul Rubens. He basically was Pee Wee Herman in a dress-up outfit. He even had his hair in the right
I know, but
setup.
At first, like, they didn't talk to him. There was no, like, wave to them. He was, like, a background person at first.
I can recognize Pee Wee at 1,000 yards, I feel like.
But no, but I was like, there's no way that's Pee Wee Herman, because he would have been like, they would have given him something to do. And they give him later.
Yeah.
But I'm like, you just put Pee Wee in up front. Put Pee Wee in as much as possible.
Can we just make this Pee Wee should have been a captain of one of these teams. That's an instant improvement of this movie.
Yes. Yes, it is.
There's also a game behind. You said the magic word. There's a game this woman is playing behind Pee Wee. It's called like Shark Bite or Shark Bites, and I missed
that.
It's like they're like white plastic sharks. It looks like you shoot it with a gun. I will be researching that after we finish this recording and trying to look up gameplay videos if possible.
I will too. Well, I also learned recently, tangent, there was a Jaws game, like tabletop almost board game, where there
it was like a fishing thing.
It was a giant shark, like, mouth. Like, it was a full shark with an open mouth, and it had stuff inside, and you had to, like, get your fishing pole inside the mouth and hook stuff out.
Yeah, it was kind of like Weird Operation.
Kinda, yeah. It's not too expensive on eBay.
It also doesn't look anything like the Jaws, the design.
Oh, of course not. And then they have to play a Star Wars ripoff game.
Yeah, this game either was a Star Wars game, they just didn't use the title, but those are TIE fighters. Like, 100% they're just TIE fighters.
They're TIE fighters, and the font is the same.
Right.
So they're all trying to win the game, because you have to win to get the message. And off in the corner, baby Michael J. Fox is like, amateurs. I play this game every Saturday. No one's a better player than me. And American Werewolf and his girlfriend is like, great, come play. And he's like, I have dignity. And I was like, no, you just said you did this every Saturday. That's no dignity.
Right, exactly. I have
no dignity.
I have a bone to pick with you, sir, and it is that you are a liar.
So he plays, and once again, the brother's an asshole. He's like, no, get my stupid brother out of here. We gotta win this. And I was like, just try.
Yeah.
Like, he's here.
Have you tried not being a huge dick all the time? Like, it's not that hard to do.
So he wins, and then the full game screen flips around to reveal a different monitor that has a video message on it from Leon telling them where to go next.
It's really crazy.
It's so expensive. And then the brother's just like, cool, let's go, as they're all celebrating.
Yeah, it's a little too on the nose, if I'm being honest with you.
Yeah, and then his girlfriend is like, "Your brother just swallowed his pride to help us win." No, he didn't. He's a 15-year-old in an arcade.
Right. This is kind of his dream scenario of like the thing that he does all the time is actually useful.
Remember that scene in Terminator 2 where, like, where do you find children? The arcade. The landlady shows up again to the game master's apartment, this time with police, and they're like, "There's nothing going on wrong here. You're under arrest, lady." But they want to see what happens, so they don't take her anywhere. She just sits there handcuffed.
Yeah, and then later she does stuff, but it's crazy that she just sits there for as long as she does.
Yeah, that's bananas to me. But then he's like, "Well, they're getting close to the finish line. We all have to go to my hotel room at this expensive hotel." Also, at this point, it's sunny. Like, it's light out.
Yeah, no, it's fully the next day.
And so the American Werewolf in London's team is there, and the bullies team is there, and the nerds, the jocks, and the sorority girls are on their way, and the bullies go to this like weirdly militant security guard and are like, "Hey, there's some Hell's Angels causing trouble outside."
And it is the Sperm Patrol. It is not Hell's Angels.
It's nerds in white on mopeds,
right?
And they treat them like Hell's Angels.
They're also like making lazy circles in the parking lot, or maybe it's the lobby, but still.
Maybe. So they get like quote unquote arrested and have to sneak in because we needed some extra tension for 25 seconds. There's, like I said, this weird, like, too intense security. Like, it's basically Arnold Schwarzenegger as a hotel security guard. Is like, he gets called. Oh, the landlady upstairs in the room calls him and is like, "There's hooligans in your hotel in this room." And I was like, why is she still here?
Yeah, it's really kind of an odd choice to make this woman such a big part of the thing at this point. And also, like, I think the guy is kind of a reference to some other movies, but I can't quite place it. Like, it's almost like LaFours from Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid, but it's not quite. He's almost the sheriff in the Blues Brothers, but it's not quite. It's like a weird amalgamation of all these other characters that I'm familiar with.
And then all of the players who are not the two main teams get pushed into the pool.
Wait, we skipped over a bit that I want to talk about. I'm sorry. You kind of jumped ahead and I was backtracking through my notes to make sure to miss anything I want to talk about. So at the one point, Michael J. Fox storms off from the yellow team and he like runs away and is sitting on a bench. And then the blue team pulls up and they're like rowdy and annoying. And he walks up to him and he's like, "Hey, I know where the final location is." And they pull him into the van. And then immediately Michael J. Fox has a change of heart, which like I don't quite understand. And
give him more than 5 seconds.
Yeah. And then the Flounder from Animal House starts like attacking him and is like, "Hey, you're gonna tell us what we want to know, or else." And Michael J. Fox is kind of like, "Meh." And then he starts like rubbing his head aggressively, and Michael J. Fox is like,
"All right," grabs his hair.
Okay, but he barely touches him, and Michael J. Fox folds like a house of cards, and he's like, "It's here. You got to go here." And the whole time, all I could think of is like, if you really had a change of heart, just blurt out any other place.
There's lots of places in LA.
And 10 seconds after that, they literally throw him out of the moving car. So it's like the consequences would have been 0 for this action.
Yeah. You should have been like Madame Tussauds.
Right. Well, they were already there, but somewhere else.
They weren't.
Oh, that's true. It was the green team.
So our heroes get into the elevator and the fat bully turns off all the power in the hotel.
Yeah, it was Chekhov's elevator control room, which they stumbled into.
He's just vandalizing left and right and committing crimes.
Yeah, no, he absolutely should go to jail at the end of this movie.
Then they use Michael J. Fox's retainer to start the elevator back up again.
I actually kind of love that. I mean, it's stupid as hell, but I kind of love it.
It's so stupid. You're right. I love that it's so dumb, but like, what? Also, this person that you spent the past hour and 40 minutes telling us is just a fat piece of garbage makes it up 18 flights of hotel stairs in 3 minutes.
Yeah, and then he's like sweaty and out of breath, but I think he might be dead if it was true. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like there's no way. And then he sees that they both get to the hallway at the same time, and he pulls the fucking fire hose off the thing. He's like, I'm gonna destroy you and I'm gonna win. What we haven't mentioned so far, folks, is that there's no prize for winning. There's been no mention of a monetary prize.
Yeah.
It's just bragging rights.
Yeah, I was very confused about this because I was assuming that there was a big money prize at the end of all this, and I had just missed it. And I was like, oh, well, when this ends, I'm going to have to write down the dollar value so I can talk about it earlier. Nothing. It's pride only.
Yeah, it's just pride. And also, this dude clearly has money because he set up this whole friggin' thing. So
I found the arcade game.
That looks so fun.
Yeah, I can't. It looks like plastic sharks you shoot at with something or other. I've been trying to Google to see if I could find any other information, and I cannot.
And then the security guards get to the floor just in the nick of time to get sprayed with water and think the blue team are the hooligans. And then the yellow team wins, and everyone has a party, a food party.
Well,
an office food party.
There is also an extremely important part that you forgot, and that's when the game master pages game player on the hotel loudspeaker, and everybody picks up a courtesy phone at the same time, and we get a Brady Bunch split screen, which I've never seen in a movie
You're
before.
Right. That's wonderful. I forgot about that.
And the fancy lady with her fancy dog I thought was pretty funny as well.
Yeah, she definitely had to be there.
I mean, I know you're being facetious, but I did kind of think it added to the zaniness. I just needed, like, the way
My problem is it's like you can't give me, like, a few sprinklings of that level of zaniness. Like, I need that the whole time.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say is, like, there's two ways you can go with this movie, which is like to constantly be at a full boil, or you can build to it. And the way I thought we were, like, Blues Brothers is a good example of a movie that like hovers around an 8 or a 9 for the whole movie, but by the end it's just like a full rolling boil and bubbling out of the pot and all over your stove. This movie, I really needed the hotel stuff to be zanier, and at a point where like there's like 10 cops chasing him and people are getting sprayed with a fire hose, I was like, oh, good. We finally got to the temperature this movie needs to be. But it never goes all the way there. Like, it stops almost immediately.
I agree. We also get the romance that we needed. And fat guy eats food and pushes his girlfriend into a pool.
Yes.
While being arrested.
Also, I'm not certain of it, but I'm pretty sure this hotel is the same filming location for that Clint Eastwood movie where the guy makes the gun out of plastic. It was like a cable movie that was on all the time. I think maybe Mom liked it.
I don't think I know that one.
It might be a Dirty Harry. It might not be, but it's like there's a dude who makes a gun out of plastic, and I think he's trying to kill the president, or he's trying to kill somebody who has a security detail. But these funky outside elevators made me think of it.
Wait, is it that Will Smith movie with the van?
No, Will Smith. Clint Eastwood.
Do you know what I'm thinking of?
Yeah,
I know,
but not Gene Hackman. You're thinking of.
Thank you. I was like, there's an old man.
Yeah, no,
Will Smith movie.
No, Clint Eastwood, not Gene Hackman. You're thinking of Enemy of the State.
Thank you. And that's the movie.
Yeah, that's the.
They win
movie.
a plaque.
Yeah, it's really kind of disappointing. And also, like, I'm all for serious competition for stupid prizes. Like, one of my favorite Brooklyn Nine-Nine running gags is they have the Halloween heist, and it's like a championship belt you get. There's really no prize other than bragging rights. But I thought there was a monetary prize in this, and I think this needs a monetary prize.
It did. I really think it did, too.
And like I said, most importantly, like, there's just like 3 pieces missing from taking this movie to be a really great movie. One is like a little more explanation of why these people are chosen. 2 is just like a little bit more time. Like, I honestly think even if it was 5 teams, but we really only focused on 3, except for some like broad stereotypical comedy from the other
like
2.
Each team's leader. Like, I don't need to know the second, like the everyone else. But if you're like, I'm going to focus on each of the 5 team leaders.
Or just pairs or trios, right? Like, the fact that each team has 4 or 5 players means you're keeping track of 20 plus people, and it's just too confusing.
They're color coded for the most part, though.
Yeah, that is helpful. But that was my big takeaway. Is like, it's almost awesome. It just needs like a little bit more little tweak. It's like just not quite the right spice palette to keep using cooking metaphors overbearingly.
I agree.
But I do think I would recommend it, honestly. Like, it's
enjoyable. It's not bad.
It's a fun movie. It has some good gags in it. It has some fun pieces of it. It's Michael J. Fox's first role, which is kind of cool, and he is like real baby faced in here.
He's a child.
Yeah. I mostly enjoyed it. The only thing I will say is it is a little too long, At the point where they were at the golf course, I was like, oh, this feels like the last 20 minutes of this movie, and it's like 45 minutes before the movie ends.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I light recommend here. I was able to find this through Hoopla, which is a library service that my library offers. I think there's a really bad rip on YouTube that I guess you could watch as well.
There is. It's not great, but it gets the job done.
Yeah. Yeah, but overall, pretty enjoyable. Thank you, Michelle, for a pick that started off Listener Request Month on a relatively good note for us. We'll see where it goes from there.
Grease 2 will happen at some other point, Michelle.
I'm sure. Or maybe, she'll stick with us another year and want to do another pick, and it'll be in there. So, but definitely, I think Grease 2 is probably, because that was another pick of her.
Cool Rider.
Yeah.
Ooh, he's so cool.
Honestly, we're just waiting for the inevitable Grease reboot, hopefully.
Yeah, hot take, I hate Grease, so I hope.
But how have they not done Grease the live musical?
They did.
Oh, we missed our window? Is that what you're telling me?
We missed that one.
Oh, no. That would have been such a good time.
Yeah, Grease was the first one Fox did, and it was like all around the lot. So like in between commercial breaks was like them being driven on Pargos to like the next set location.
Really? That's kind of a fun twist on that idea.
Yeah, I agree. I don't like Grease is my problem. Other than that, it was a decent production.
Interesting. But yes, thank you so much, Michelle, for being such an awesome supporter of the show. If you'd like to be a supporter of the show financially like that, visit patreon.com/dissectingthe80s. We have some fun stuff there. And if you look it over and you're like, I like this, but this is the thing I really want, send us an email. We'll see if we can make it happen. We're always open to adjusting that. We've been doing it for just about a year exactly now, thanks to Michelle for supporting from the very beginning. And so if we need to mix it up, let us know if you're
interested in that Waze voice.
Yeah, Waze voice is a fun one. We can come up with some other stuff, but we'll figure it out. Thank you so very much for listening to the show. Don't forget to check us out on social media. We have a Facebook page. You can find us on Twitter at @DissectThe80s. Twitter is probably the quickest way to get a response from us if you'd like one. So feel free to zip a question our way that way. You can also email the show at dissectingthe80s@gmail.com. We love hearing from you. Don't forget, most importantly, to rate and review the show wherever you get it. iTunes reviews helps us out a lot, but we'll take them anywhere we can get them. And if it's not on iTunes, just send us a screenshot and we read those on the air. We're always appreciative of that. So thank you very much in advance. If you haven't done that yet, you should do it. We will be back in 2 weeks. Listener Request Month is a 3-part extravaganza. We will return on the 15th? Must be, yes. So we will see you then with our next Listener Request Month pick, which is Real Genius, the Val Kilmer film. And that was Tom's selection, also a Patreon supporter.
Which, funnily enough, if you Google Watch Midnight Madness Madness, other recommendations that pop up include Real Genius starring Val Kilmer.
Oh, really? That's funny. I guess because they both sort of have like a school element to them.
Yeah.
Thank you all so very much for listening. I have been Trip Leno.
I will always be Andrew Leno.
Until the next segment of Listener Request Month! Yeah! On July 15th.
Don't you forget about me.
Dissecting the 80s is a Chum Some of This production. Ow.